do the First Contact project onto Noir TV. First Contact project is a project I did in 2005 where I recorded 10 different people, 11, actually many more, but the ones that are in the piece are a CD length's worth of interviews with human beings of different ages who were talking about the first time they ever used a computer or the first time they used or saw the internet. And the idea was to get vernacular memories of this and just to spring it on somebody, not to let them think about it, but to just think about it on the moment when they weren't thinking about it, not tell them that was going to be the question, and then listen to things that they said, because they bring up memories of peripherals and devices and all kinds of technology that are obsolete now or even funny to us now. So that's why the First Contact project was born. And the first person you're going to hear is one of my favorite people in this world. An incredibly smart person, a person I've admired for many, many years. Since I met him, I could say that. I met him in New York via Kenny. You all know Kenny, my friend, the photographer. And Tamin's son is a person with a lot of experience from a very young age with computers in Asia and in the United States. Because he begins in Japan, China, and then comes to Florida when he's very young. And he's the, you talk today about bellwether users. He was a bellwether programmer for his generation. And so the things he talks about here are like a laundry list in a chronological manner of computing from the Super Cray and Cray era, pre-PC DOS, pre-even PC conceptually, through 2005 when I'm sitting down and talking to him in Kamakura, Japan. So without further ado, here's Tamin's son, and then you'll hear the rest of the interviews while we're taking care of this. You can help me with this? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. You can stay there for a second. Then I'm gonna...
First contact was about 76, 77, Yokohama, Japan, at the Honda plant. Punch cards. Punch cards? Crazy. Huge machines and all these little white cards with little holes going down the lines, making all these clicking sounds. 6 years old, don't understand what the hell they were doing. My uncle had to explain it to me because he was a research engineer for Honda's racing, Formula One racing team. Basically, what they were crunching is the coefficient of drag of certain chassis for the Honda team for the F1 circuit that year. Alright, fast forward to Fairfax, Virginia. Commodore Amiga 1000. First love of PC era. How I program it? C. Back in the days. C language. Audio visual was the king back in the days. 512 or 256 VGA native. 84 Arlington, Virginia. Amiga 1000. Back up. So there's like Atari, Commodore 64, Commodore. Okay, Atari 2600, 82, 83. It was cool, but it was just all games, so I had to step up a little bit. So 84, purchased an Amiga 1000 from a family computing center in Northern Virginia.
Oh, I remember to wear it.
What attracted me to the Amiga 1000 was the C interface programming. You can pretty much tell the Amiga what to do. And as far as audio video wise, there's no other. The Amiga 1000 was the king. You can hook up a camera to it. You can do audio, AV editing. To this day, TV stations still use Amiga 1000 and Amiga line to do AV editing for their TV shows. Okay, 85, I upgraded the Amiga from 256 kilobytes to 512 kilobytes, and that cost me $450 back in fucking 84. You know how much? I'm talking about weeks of allowance money and the money I save and the amount of hustling I have to gather to bump up my machine to like 256 I was 14 years old. So how I was hustling was buying concert tickets, scalping at concerts, and buying beer, you know, selling to people at school, and selling porn to my schoolmates because I needed to upgrade my Commodore 1000 so I can encode my video faster, you know, have the speed recognition faster. So after that, college time, and you know, IBM machines and 88 process servers. And then the PC Junior. After that was the PC Junior, pre-Pentium. No, pre-Windows. After Amiga, so there was Amiga OS, you know, C-based interface. After Amiga, it was PC-based. Was IBM DOS. After IBM DOS it was DOS. It was strictly DOS. This is after Bill Gates hijacked IBM, like the coup
of the century,
if you will. And yeah. So that was PC DOS, and there was I also owned Apple IIe. That was pretty dope. You know, the Windows was extremely intriguing and extremely functional at that time. The single mouse kind of thing was kind of fucking me up because Amiga had a mouse, 2-button mouse. It was sick. Yeah, the Apple IIe, the single mouse was kind of fucking me up.
Amiga had a mouse, I didn't know
Graphics
that.
was monochrome, so I had to ditch that because Amiga was 256 VGA, and after I upgraded to 512K, it was just sick video. It was sick video. So after that, after the 2E, college-wise, in the 8088s, and worked on some super computers at that time. Worked on some crates because I went to school for aerospace engineering. And
Aerospace engineering. Embry-Riddle.
Embry-Riddle. They have access to crates because we had to do all sorts of wind tunnel testing. We had to do all sorts of coefficient drag testing, stress testing on the wings and stuff like that. So we had some access to create some SGIs.
That guy's smart.
That was my first experience.
You could be smart like that, son.
VI editor, you know, back then was SGI IREX, Unix. So after that, Linux came out. My first interaction with Linux was Linux kernel 0.90. 1990, 1991. Yeah, it was pretty old. And then back then Windows was on 2.1. Wow. Yeah.
Windows 2.1.
Yeah, so
1990.
We got really high at my friend's house. We got this Linux kernel of
Linux kernel.
BBS bulletin board, and we were trying to get it together. And we thought we were cool, you know, and we pulled this kid out of nowhere, out of some fucking trailer park in Florida. He was like, yeah, I can compile that kernel for you. Back in the days, I was like, kernel, what the hell are you talking about? Like KFC shit? You know, he was like, yeah, man, this kid, Linux, Torvald from Finland, Linux is hot as shit, and it'll make your machine run so much faster. So yeah, this was a 286 machine.
Kernel, I thought you meant.
I got my first Linux machine back in 92, 93. And Windows for Workgroups 3.1 came out in 94. That shit was whack. Because, yeah, we couldn't get any of the networking stuff going. After that, I kind of dropped out of computer stuff in a while until 94. AMD DX100 chips. This is the 486 100 chips. Outperformed the Pentium 100s and Pentium P90s back in the days. In 95 was, you know, the P120s, 130s, 150s, and so on and so forth. From that point on, it just pretty much Pentium until the P2 era, and AMD started coming on strong. Pentium was key until P2. I had a P2, and after that I switched to AMD Athlon, and after that was just Athlon all the way through. I mean AMD all the way through. Right now, actually, before I came to Japan, I had just built an AMD 4200 dual core processor. The reason why I need that because I do a lot of music, I do a lot of video work, I do a lot of Photoshop work. You need all that extra, you know.
This is 2005.
Processing power.
He's talking.
So yeah.
It's all changed even from then.
So right now I have 3 desktops and 3 laptops. and I have access to a supercomputer. It's a free project, and I have access to 4 web servers and a lot of freaking routers on the internet. And from my first touch of a keyboard back in the days to now, son, let's see,
Counting in Chinese.
including laptops, about 30 plus. About 30 plus PCs and Macs. You know, late 80s PBS was hella strong. You know, we were war dialing back in the days. What we would do is we would go to neighbors, you know, like your neighborhood PBX box, and rewire shit so you can war dial from other people's phone numbers. So when you get in trouble, you won't get caught.
There were kids in my neighborhood doing that.
And from that point on, the next thing of internet would be the early 90s when AOL started coming on.
No, it's
and
internet.
AOL was one of the first web content providers.
That's right.
Besides AOL, there was Prodigy. Of course. Yeah, Gopher, Newsnet, you know, you use Pi, and it's very basic, but as far as the internet and the www and the World Wide Web goes, my first internet exchange was probably 90, I'm sorry, 80, 88, 89, 90. Tamin Son, 1970, so today will be 34.
The first time I saw and experienced a computer was in the University of Costa Rica. My father was working on a project to create a database for diagnosis for children's illnesses. And I think I was, 14 or 13. I was very indifferent to the fact that I was in front of a computer. It was just like, it was an ugly machine then. It was probably in the 70s. No, the exact year is difficult trying to remember. Yeah, I think I was like 13 because I was already kind of independent. I mean, I could come and go from my house everywhere.
I like that.
So, 13. And and they were like black screen with like green letters. IBM. It was probably an IBM computer because it was.
Hey, you gotta leave in 5 minutes.
I can ask my dad. He was the one using them. I just remember that computers were things that only people like my father would use, like kind of nerdy, like, you know. It was science only, you know, and they were very unattractive objects.
When you first began using a machine yourself, using one, I mean.
Yeah, well, it was a little Apple. It was already, it had a sort of interface already. It was one of those little compact ones. And I only use it for word processing. And and you used to have these kind of things called floppy disks. And it was not mine. Again, it was from somebody else, but it was like an object again in the house. This is already 90s in London, and there were already even more elegant computers than that, but the one I could use like in an everyday basis was an old computer. And for me, I had no interest even then still in computers. They were already kind of like trendy in London, and there was a lot of people doing learning to use computers for design, for instance. Design and photography were like very much going in that direction then in London. But I was only interested in the word processing part. Pre-internet, there was no internet, or at least I didn't know that existed. It was probably 90, I'm thinking, It was before I moved to Berlin. So it was 94 maybe. Yeah, and then I took a course. I got an employment benefit around 95 or something, like a year later, and I got a course from the government. It was called for the London University, and actually I went to learn IT skills. It was like considered the skill to learn to go to work, to get employment. So actually the British government was training people, and I did, but they used to train you on Microsoft Office, so you would learn all the Office programs, Word and Excel, and the program I was in was for arts administration. So I learned all of these programs that were really the latest. So they were like, 95, Windows 95.
Windows 95.
And then I went to do the internship at the South Bank Center, and they didn't have not even computers. So it was like all my IT skills that I just learned, I could never use because obviously a lot of companies were not using computers still. It was much later. That was the first time I saw the internet in my life.
1995?
Yeah. Some people had internet, and I remember peeping and looking. I got into the internet in 97. My name is Cristina, and I'm 41.
So it goes on like that. So
And the computer's there, I see it. The console.
that one's a good one. That's Charlie Kulas. So it's the First Contacts project, and this is